Hi, it's Patrick Hutzel from IntensiveCareHotline.com, where we instantly improve the lives for families of critically ill patients in intensive care so that you can make informed decisions, have peace of mind, real power, real control, and so that you can influence decision making fast, even if you're not a doctor or a nurse in intensive care. This is another episode of Your Questions Answered, and in last week's episode I answered another question from one of my clients, and the question in the last episode was, is it best to have a breathing tube or endotracheal tube after stroke and seizures? You can check out last week's question by clicking on the link below this video. In this week's episode of Your Questions Answered, I want to answer the next questions from one of my clients, Andrea, who has her 34-year-old sister in intensive care with non-hodgkins lymphoma and a stroke. Today's questions and excerpt from the one-on-one consulting and advocacy session is, my sister's blood count is low. Does she need blood products to get off the ventilator? You can also check out previous consulting and advocacy sessions with Andrea by clicking on the relevant links below this video. And if you are watching this on YouTube, go and click on the link below this video. That'll get you to our website where you can access this consulting and advocacy session, as well as many other free resources for families in intensive care. So Andrea writes, hi Patrick, thank you for your time today and sending through the summary notes below. It was very good talking to you. I have requested a family meeting with the ICU doctor, the neurologist and hematology doctors. This will now probably occur on Tuesday or Wednesday. I asked the nurse tonight about my sister's cell count, white blood cells 2, neutrophils, she didn't know this, hemoglobin 64. Her anti-seizure medication is Keppra and it is given 2 times a day. She also had the following liquids intravenously: Actrapid 50 units, Nutricin, sodium chloride. That is all I discovered today, but I will see if I can find more information tomorrow. All the best from Andrea. So here is my response. Hi Andrea. The ICU nurse should definitely know about your sister's neutrophils. If she doesn't know about it, it should take her 1 minute to look it up on the computer. With the white cell count so low, it's a sign that the immune system is down. Therefore, the risk of the neutrophils being low is a real one. If white cells and neutrophils are down, they may have to start thinking about getting your sister in an isolated and negative pressure room. If she's not in isolation and not in a negative pressure room, chances are she's not neutropenic, but I wouldn't rule it out either until you know for sure. I have seen some patients after chemotherapy and non-Hodgkin's lymphoma seen being neutropenic, therefore you probably want to find out rather sooner than later. Hemoglobin, also known as HB, as 64, indicates she will need a blood transfusion or 2, especially if she is on inotropes such as noradrenaline or adrenaline for low blood pressure. The lower HB, the higher the chances that blood pressure is low and therefore the need for life support such as inotropes or vasopressors. I would urge you to find out if she's on inotropes or vasopressors to have a better understanding of how much major forms of life support she currently needs. I would also urge you to find out if they are planning to give your sister blood transfusions or not. This will also indicate to you if they are silently enforcing an NFR or not for resuscitation order or not. Now, are you sure she's had 50 units of Actrapid? Do you know if she's on an Actrapid infusion? I would imagine she might have 5 units per hour as an infusion at the most, with nasogastric feeds given. 50 units per hour doesn't sound accurate. It's way too high unless there have been unusually high sugars like greater than 20. And even then it would be incredibly high. As discussed with you, I'm very happy to dial into a family meeting whenever you can schedule it. I would also be very happy to call the ICU directly and speak to the bedside nurse or a doctor before the meeting. I would be very happy to call them daily and get updates if you wish to. You will also need to put in writing that you want access to the medical records like we discussed over the phone. I have also put a link to the New South Wales Department of Health website clearly stating that you have the right to access medical records. I would address your request to the Director of Nursing or Hospital Manager/CEO or to the Patient Liaison Officer. You could also make a formal complaint to the people I mentioned above. It worked recently with another client in Brisbane where we wrote a letter and email to the Director of Nursing and CEO, and we requested a meeting within 24 hours, and they were very responsive to that. I know they're trying to make your life hell, and I know you won't give up. Just keep requesting, ideally always with deadlines, and start using stronger language such as, "You are trying to kill my sister. We are considering seeking legal advice. Not giving blood products is negligent. Where is your duty of care?" And keep reminding them that you were told your sister is for full treatment, therefore have they been lying to you? Also, keep asking for their hospital and ICU policy about treatment limitations or NFR, not for resuscitation. Again, there is a very good chance they have already breached their own hospital and ICU policy and potentially even the law. I would also check out an ebook that I wrote, The 5 Things You Need to Know If the Medical Team in Intensive Care wants to limit treatment and withdraw treatment or wants to issue a DNR, do not resuscitate, or NFR, not for resuscitation order for your critically ill loved one. Again, you can find this link to that ebook below this video in the written version of this blog. I have also attached the end of life and withdrawal of treatment policy in New South Wales. It's publicly available at the New South Wales Department of Health website. It's a real shame that they're saying there is no policy, which in essence means they're lying to you and they don't want to play by the rules. It's shocking and it's highly inappropriate. I would still be asking them for the policy to keep the pressure on. Other questions that are important tomorrow are, will they consider starting her on inotropes such as noradrenaline or adrenaline if her blood pressure drops and goes below 90 mm per mercury? Inotropes or vasopressors such as noradrenaline and adrenaline are considered life support and are being used if patients in ICU are hemodynamically unstable. Inotropes and vasopressors can only be given in ICU and the emergency department because it needs very close monitoring. Given that they are currently denying blood products to your sister, it wouldn't surprise me if they want to deny inotropes and vasopressors too, in case your sister deteriorates. The lower the hemoglobin drops, the higher chances are that your sister will need inotropes or vasopressors such as noradrenaline or adrenaline. Giving your sister blood products may not eliminate the need for inotropes or vasopressors, but it will increase the chances for not needing them. Also, are they considering isolating your sister if her neutrophils drop lower? Normal neutrophil levels are 1.5 to 8.0, and isolation starts if neutrophils are less than 1. Your sister would be very vulnerable to bugs transmitted from other patients if her immune system is low. Therefore, isolation would provide another level of protection given how vulnerable she is. Those are the most important things for now. I'm happy to chat in the morning and also happy to chat to a lawyer once you found one. Also, give yourself a pat on your back for being so strong. Your sister would be very proud of you, and I'm sure so is the rest of your family. I can already see that the ICU there is horrible, and they have no compassion whatsoever. Be prepared to have more obstacles thrown your way before it gets any better. It usually does get better once they know you're not giving up. Please give me a call anytime if you need anything or if you need any questions answered urgently. Wishing you and your family all the best for now. So here is Andrea's response. Hi Patrick, thank you so much for all your help yesterday. I was researching last night the impacts of low blood counts. Is it fair to say that low blood counts or low oxygen levels can cause low blood pressure, which may cause an isometric stroke or a heart attack? My sister's ICU doctor said yesterday she had a healthy heart, so a reason for her to potentially have a heart attack is extremely low given her low blood counts. I am very concerned with his decision not to give her blood transfusions, and I don't know who to speak to in the hospital to get this reversed. I feel we haven't changed his mind, nor have any resolution around this. I would greatly appreciate your guidance and thoughts. Many thanks from Andrea. Here is my response. Hi Andrea, a low hemoglobin or low red blood cells isn't helping on any levels. Number one, it usually causes a lower blood pressure, which is why I keep asking if she's on inotropes or vasopressors such as adrenaline or noradrenaline, because inotropes or vasopressors are intravenous drugs exclusively used in ICU and the emergency room or emergency department to manage a critically low and often life-threatening low blood pressure. Hemoglobin or HB is also binding oxygen in the blood. Hence, a low HB is making it more difficult for your sister to come off the ventilator eventually if she can reach that point. Not giving blood products such as red blood cells, platelets, as well as FFP, which stands for fresh frozen plasma, leaves your sister vulnerable on all levels. Her body is currently not in a position to produce healthy white cells, neutrophils, hemoglobin, or platelets because the bone marrow is unable to produce it. As far as your concerns go in relation to a heart attack or stroke, all I can say is that for anybody in an intensive care environment facing a critical illness, the risk of them sustaining a heart attack and or stroke is usually increased. Low blood count would be one of the risk factors, but not the only one. Critical illness and a stay in intensive care have been identified as one of the biggest stress factors in life, as you can imagine, and big stress factors can cause strokes, heart attacks, etc. I have seen many patients in ICU being admitted with, for example, pneumonia, trauma, and then sustaining a stroke or a heart attack down the line. In your sister's situation, I would imagine she would have been on a long list of medications with multiple side effects to begin with, including chemotherapy and radiotherapy. As you know, side effects are huge, and therefore the risk for complications such as a stroke are real. And if you have watched this far, if you want one-on-one consulting and advocacy with me, just go on the top of the website and click on the link for consulting and counseling and advocacy and select from the options that are best for you. And again, if you are on YouTube, just click on the links below this video. That'll get you to our website where you can get one-on-one consulting and advocacy. So Andrea, at this point, with all the information that I have, I'm not too worried about your sister's heart, which is again why I've asked if she's on inotropes such as noradrenaline or adrenaline. When patients are on inotropes or vasopressors, it's often a sign that the heart isn't coping, or it can be a sign of hypovolemia, which means low fluids in the body, or it could be a sign of sepsis as well. Hypovolemia would be more likely in your sister's case because of low hemoglobin. Also, a stroke can be caused by a thrombus, also known as a blood clot, or by a brain bleed. As far as I remember, you mentioned that your sister had a hemorrhagic stroke, a bleed on the brain, which would make sense with low platelets because the blood is thin already. With minimal or no platelets and the risk of bleeding, it does minimize the risk of a heart attack because a heart attack, similar to a stroke, is being caused by a thrombus or a blood clot. Hence, no platelets and the blood being thin minimizes the risk of a thrombus and a heart attack. Also, even though your sister is very ill, the risk for a young person like your sister to sustain a heart attack is significantly less compared to an older person with a severe critical illness. In terms of how we would go about reinforcing that your sister needs blood products, we can bring this up in the family meeting tomorrow. I will also have a look at the policy from New South Wales Health and see how we can use this policy to plead our case. I really hope this helps for now. Let me know if you have any questions or if you want to get on the phone. Best wishes for now. So, how can you become the best advocate for your critically ill loved one? How can you make informed decisions, get peace of mind, control, power, and influence quickly whilst your loved one is critically ill in intensive care? You will get to that all-important feeling of making informed decisions, get peace of mind, control, power, and influence when you download your free Instant Impact Report now by entering your email below. In your free Instant Impact Report, you will learn quickly how to make informed decisions, get peace of mind, real power, and real control, and how you can influence decision-making fast whilst your loved one is critically ill in intensive care. Your free Instant Impact Report gives you in-depth insight that you must know whilst your loved one is critically ill or is even dying in intensive care. Sign up and download your free Instant Impact Report now by entering your email below. In your free Instant Impact Report, you will learn how to speak the secret intensive care language so that the doctors and the nurses know straight away that you are an insider and that you know and understand what's really happening in intensive care. In your free report, you will also discover how to ask the doctors and the nurses the right questions. Discover the many competing interests in intensive care and how your critically ill loved one's treatment may depend on those competing interests. How to eliminate fear, frustration, stress, struggle, and vulnerability even if your loved one is dying. You will get 5 mind-blowing tips and strategies helping you to get on the right path to making informed decisions, get peace of mind, control, power, and influence in your situation. You will get real-world examples that you can easily adapt to your and your critically ill loved one's situation. How to stop being intimidated by the intensive care team and how you will be seen as equals. You will get crucial behind-the-scenes insight so that you know and understand what's really happening in intensive care and how you need to manage doctors and nurses in intensive care, and it's not what you think. Thank you for tuning into this week's Your Questions Answered episode, and I'll see you again next week in another update. Make sure You also check out our blog section for more tips and strategies, or simply send me an email to support@intensivecarehotline.com with your questions. Also, have a look at our membership site intensivecaresupport.org for families in intensive care. You can also call me directly, find international phone numbers on the top of the website. Also, have a look at our ebook section where you get more ebooks, videos and audio recordings, and where you can also get one-on-one consulting and advocacy with me via Skype, over the phone or via email by clicking on the relevant tabs on the top of the website. This is Patrick Hutzel from intensivecarehotline.com, and I'll see you again next week in another update.